Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since we discovered Spotify for Podcasters, we have had so much fun trying out all of the features like Q&As and polls that let us be really creative and engage with our audience. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
A legendary royal photographer reflects on 2 decades of photographing the Queen, Meghan and Harry's new venture, Fergie turns 62, and it'll be a party on Sunday for the Earthshot Prize Awards. Always so much to cover, this time on episode 41 of Podcast Royal. It is episode 41 of Podcast Royal. It is good to be with you. This is the second time I've seen you today and the third time I've seen you this week because we are hammering out some interviews. We've had 2 interviews back to back very early in the morning because we're accommodating UK schedules. So I much prefer the evening recording sessions to the morning, although we had a great time this morning.
Yeah, it's hard to find the sweet spot on a time because it's either super early for us or super late for, those in London. So it's fun trying to balance that. But this week has been a busy week already, and we're recording, and it's only Tuesday as we're recording, and I feel like it's going by pretty quickly. So I was trying to think about what I was into this weekend. This is really kind of a nerdy, goofy, silly thing to be into, but I have this childhood memory from the 90s of being at my great-grandmother's house, and my grandmother was there, and they were sitting around, and you have to remember back in the early 90s, we didn't have all the technology that we have today, even though it wasn't that long ago. It was probably like a Sunday afternoon or something, I don't know. And my grandmother and great-grandmother were doing a crossword puzzle. And I remember listening to them and trying to figure out the clues and put the words together. So randomly this week, I was in a store and found just an old school crossword puzzle book. And I thought, what the heck? And I bought it. And I have been, in the evenings, if I'm just sitting on the couch or doing something, I've been doing these crossword puzzles. And I was thinking, we've got all of this, technology now. People are on their phone on apps. There's Words with Friends. There's, all these games and stuff. But I'm challenging our listeners this week, do something old school, play a board game, get a crossword puzzle or something, and it'll take you back in time, and it'll just be a fun way to disconnect from all of the technology that we're always on. So that's what I'm into.
I love that because I keep getting, every Sunday, my iPhone reminds me of my screen time. And every Sunday I am horrified at the number on the screen. And so the more I can get off technology these days, which sometimes isn't possible with work, but in my spare time, I want to take a break. And I like crossword puzzles, but you know what? I also love word searches. That was my jam in the 90s. Like we would go on road trips, we'd buy, because obviously this is so far before iPhones and tablets and things like that when we were kids, but we would buy one of those big thick books of word searches at the gas station, and I would just sit in the back and do my word search. And plus that's probably good for a kid to learn new words
it's good for adults too, for just I don't know, keeping your mind sharp. I feel like,
brain sharp.
I remember as a kid, speaking of word searches, you always felt really proud of yourself when you found the ones that were spelled backwards.
Yeah. Yes. But I'll tell you the one little puzzle book game that I never really got into, but my boyfriend is obsessed with is Sudoku. I never remember when Sudoku was so popular when we were in college? Maybe that was just at KU, but it was all the rage back when we were in college, and I just never got into that. But I do love a good crossword, and I do love a good word search.
Yeah, I never got into that either. I was into solitaire for a while on my computer.
I like solitaire as well. That reminds me of my grandparents. They used to have a breakfast nook in their house, and both of them, they just like in retirement were never apart, and both of them would just sit there at the breakfast nook and play solitaire side by side. I'm like, why don't y'all play a card game together? But they just love their solitaire. Just simpler times, but those simpler times are just a moment away if we can close our laptops and shut off our phones for a minute and just go back to those times. They're still available.
Mm-hmm. So what are you into?
Okay, so this week I am into the fact that everywhere I look, I'm seeing the chocolate biscuit cake recipe that you mentioned on a previous episode, which apparently is William's favorite, and it is what they served at William and Kate's wedding. And it doesn't even require baking. The Royal Collection Trust shared the recipe, which I'm going to make in my earliest opportunity. Like I might make it this weekend. So I can't wait to see how it tastes. I mean, I'm no, as I've said before, I'm no chef, but if it doesn't really even require baking, it shouldn't be that hard, right?
Yeah, let me know how that turns out, because that cake does look really, really good. I mean, I love chocolate, so
I love it when recipes get shared, and it doesn't happen all the time, but a couple of years ago we got the recipe for those star cookies that they make at Christmas time, and that was cool. And now we've got the chocolate biscuit cake recipe, so I will try it out and let you know how it goes. Of the two of us, I'm certainly not the better one in the kitchen, but I mean, it sounds so easy that even I could do it, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, speaking of British recipes, my grandmother makes a really great English trifle. And if listeners have listened to our show before, you know I love to cook, but I also really like trying to make healthier versions of some of the classics. And so I did actually stumble across a recipe for it's a paleo English trifle. And I'm going to go ahead and say, I know it is not going to be as indulgent as the real thing, but I may actually give that one a shot. So I'll let you know. You tell me about the chocolate biscuit cake, and I'll let you know about the English trifle, how it turns out.
Sounds good. We can compare baking notes.
For sure.
So we have a very exciting interview today, later in the show, with Chris Jackson. We'll talk more about him in a bit, but first, the royal rundown. We do have quite a bit of news to cover today. So a shocking announcement from the London police came this week, or maybe it's not so shocking at this point, because this is the third inquiry that they've undertaken and they haven't moved forward with any of them. But the Metropolitan Police Service, MPS, said they would be taking no further action against Prince Andrew after reviewing claims put forth by Virginia Roberts Giuffre. In a statement released on Monday, the MPS said, as a matter of procedure, MPS officers reviewed a document released in August 2021 as part of a U.S. civil action. This review has concluded, and we are taking no further action. The Metropolitan Police Service, continues to liaise with other law enforcement agencies who lead the investigation into matters related to Jeffrey Epstein. So, this matter is not closed. This is just the MPS. The U.S. civil suit continues. So we will keep you up to date with the latest developments in this ongoing debacle, but it is disappointing to see no action taken in the claim, but we have yet to see what the U.S. civil suit, what happens from that. So any thoughts on that?
You know, I think I am I don't know, kind of like you said, are we surprised at this point? I started to say I'm a little bit surprised, but I will continue to follow this story and see what happens on the US side of things. But yeah, I mean, I guess, at this point, nothing's really surprising.
Yeah, I mean, this is the third time that they haven't pursued action. So we'll see what happens in the US civil suit. This is by no means over. So, though Prince Harry did make the trip back to the UK for the unveiling of a statue of his mother, Princess Diana, on July 1st, the Sussexes will not be traveling back to the UK for a private reception for donors who funded the statue on October 19th. On hand will be Prince William and Elton John, and Harry, in lieu of attending, will reach out privately to donors. So, does this really come as a surprise to you?
I actually was following the story as well, and I think I read, obviously, the sorry, the Spencer family will be there. And it is not a surprise to me. I can't remember where they said the party was going to be held, but we've talked about Harry and Meghan and the royal family quite a bit on this podcast, and I kind of felt all along that I didn't expect Meghan at least to come back to the UK anytime soon. I'm sure, we may see them back for the Platinum Jubilee, but, she's just had her baby. And I sort of feel like with them having just gone to New York, part of me feels like Prince Harry would come back, given it's a reception for the statue of Princess Diana. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to come back without Meghan for that. And, he was just at the unveiling of the statue. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, Meghan obviously was pregnant for a lot of things that happened earlier this year with Prince Philip's funeral, and then the Diana statue unveiling was less than a month after she gave birth. But I have heard rumblings, and these are unconfirmed, so that's why we're not officially reporting on them. But I have heard rumblings that William denied um, Meghan and Harry's request to have Lily's christening at Windsor.
Mhm.
And so they were going to come back for that. I know I heard over the summer that they wanted to come back and christen her in the UK. I have not heard any plans of that. And for comparison's sake, Archie was born on May 6th. He was christened on July 6th. So Lily was born on June 4th, and it's now October 12th. So I
Wow.
don't know if they're going to do a public christening. I don't know if I don't know their intentions, but I don't know if they will come back to the UK for a while. I hope they'll come back for the Platinum Jubilee and for Trooping the Color and all of that. But I think they're just firmly planting roots in California, and I don't know if we'll see them across the pond anytime soon.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you on that. I don't know that we'll see them at Trooping the Color, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see them for the Platinum Jubilee. I don't really expect them before then, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath for them to be in the UK before Platinum Jubilee at the earliest. So hopefully they'll come then, but it's their life, their call. So speaking of Meghan and Harry, they're busy. They have no time to travel to the UK because they have a new role announced today, Tuesday, October 12th, in finance this time. The duo has signed on as impact partners with Ethic, a financial services company focused on something called ESG, environmental, social, and governance investing. Its clients have already invested more than $1 billion into values-driven companies. The couple said in a statement today, quote, "When we invest in each other, we change the world, be it through the investment of time, as with mentoring, think Meghan's 40 by 40 or 40x40 initiative, investment in community, as with volunteering, or the investment of funds for those who have the means to. Our choices of how and where we put our energy define us as a global community. We believe it's time for more people to have a seat at the table when decisions are made that impact everyone. We want to rethink the nature of investing to help solve the global issues we all face. Our impact partnership with Ethic is one of the ways we put our values into action." So what are your thoughts on this? And what is an impact partnership? So does that just mean that they are partnering to give ethic more of a platform, and that's their impact.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of taking from this. And I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing from this. I'm assuming this news just came out maybe
It just
today.
came out today. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to dig into this a little bit more and try to get a deeper understanding. So I guess ethic is it not under the Archwell
No, ethic
umbrella,
is
I guess. So this
ethic
is
is its
totally separate.
own ethic is its own company.
Right. But they're not partnering through Archwell,
They
or
are. They are. They are.
they are.
Well,
Okay.
so
Okay. So
anytime these days we hear Meghan and Harry, it's through Arch, like the overarching Archewell, no pun intended. So Archewell has three arms. It has Archewell Audio, which again, insert comments here about where is Archewell Audio? Archewell Productions, which is the Netflix deal, and then Archewell Foundation, which I assume this is a part of. I assume anything philanthropic like this although is finance and investing really philanthropic? I don't know, but this news release did come out on the Archewell website. So I mean, I guess everything they do is technically Archewell.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, and that makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig into this story a little bit more. This is the first I'm hearing about it. It's feels like there's a lot going on in this announcement. So do you have any initial thoughts?
Well, as someone who admittedly, me personally, has too many jobs as a freelance writer, I feel like I have 15 jobs at any given time. I know in my life that when I am spread so thin like that, I feel unable to give my all to anything. Everybody gets like 15% of me right now, or 10% of me. And so I hope that and this is not a judgment call, I just cop to the fact that I am spread too thin, but I hope that they are not spreading themselves too thin, because everybody in the world wants to work with Meghan and Harry. Everybody wants to work with them. And there are a lot of attractive companies that fit their mission. And so I hope that, and again, no judgment here, so please don't at me, but I hope that they are being really selective about who they take on and not spreading themselves too thin, because as I'm living out in my life right now, when you're spread too thin, like I'm about, this is probably TMI, listeners probably don't care, but I'll share that I'm starting a new full-time role at the end of October. And when that happens, I'm going to have to let a lot of things go because I just don't have time. And I want to have maximum impact at my full-time job. And so I just want Harry and Meghan to have maximum impact. And it seems like they have their hands in a lot of different pots. And so I don't know how much of a time commitment being an impact partner is. I don't even know what being an impact partner is, but I know Harry is also chief impact officer at BetterUp. I haven't heard a thing about it since that announcement came out. I don't know where Archewell Audio is. I know these things take time. We are podcasters, so we understand, but I just want to see them have maximum impact and do the best work they can. And it just seems like every other day we're adding something to the pile. But I want to see results from what's already in the mix. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't know, how big the behind the scenes team is at Archwell, or, to your point, what level of involvement they are having with all of the organizations that they take on. But we've said this before about, others associated with the royal family. When you start something new and you have an initiative, it's easy to talk up these things, and talk about the importance of them and how you want to make this change or this impact. But I think you've got to have substance behind it, or it's just fluff.
Absolutely.
So, when we talk about stuff like the Spotify podcasts and stuff, we're coming on a year since they had one episode come out. And you have to have real work behind those things to actually make the impact and for it to be more than just fluffy words. So I totally
Yes.
agree with you on that. I'll
Yes.
definitely need to dig into this a little bit more.
Yeah, it just came out this afternoon. And look, by now we're on episode 41. Listeners should know I'm coming from a place of love. And they don't, Harry and Meghan don't need me to tell them how to run their life or their business by any means. But the proof is in the pudding. And I want a little bit more substance to the millions of projects they have going on. They have their feet in 40,000 different pots. But I want to see Archwell audio episodes. I used to look every day. Now I look like maybe once a week. Is there a new Archwell audio episode? And I want some delivery on these big deals. And so, that's just, it's coming from a place of love. And but I mean, hey, look, this company, I don't know a thing about this company. I didn't know them until I heard about them today. Maybe that's the whole point of being an impact partner, is now I'm aware of Ethic and the work that they're doing. But everything sounds great. But like you said, substance. And you know what? I want to say one more thing. I want to harken back to the SmartWorks capsule collection in 2019. Now that was substantial. We have numbers that say these are how many women were served by that collaboration. And that's the kind of stuff I want to see. And I don't know if we are getting those kind of results like we did when they were in the family. And I don't think it has anything to do with them being working members of the family or not. I just think, like all of us, they're trying to figure it out and learning as they go. And so I am team Harry and Meghan all the way. And I just want to see, some SmartWorks capsule collection style patronages. Okay, so a powerful message from the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge on World Mental Health Day. The duo took to Instagram and wrote, "Taking care of our mental health and well-being has never been more important. This hashtag World Mental Health Day, we are highlighting some of the fantastic organizations providing support for those who might need it, because there is help out there. What will you be doing to take care of your mental health today?" I love that. I'm a very proud therapy proponent, daughter of 2 therapists, and full on supportive of us doing whatever it takes for us to take care of our mental health. So bravo. More details are coming in about the Earthshot Prize Awards, which will air on Sunday, October 17th, this upcoming Sunday. We will see the likes of Coldplay, Ed Sheeran, and Shawn Mendes perform, and the Duchess of Cambridge, Emma Watson, and David Oyelowo will be presenters. Sir David Attenborough will also be on hand to talk more about the Earthshot Prize. So is there anybody you're especially looking forward to seeing, and why is it the Duchess of Cambridge? Because that's my answer too.
You read my mind, Rachel. Yeah, well, I was gonna say I'm always excited to hear a little Ed Sheeran. But yeah, when it comes to presenters, I'm always looking forward to hearing from the Duchess of Cambridge. I love it when she gets up and speaks in public. And I love that she is sort of intertwined in this and is a part of it. I think, it's obviously a passion project of Prince William, and he's put a lot of work into it. And I encourage our listeners, if you want to dig into this more, they do have an Instagram page, but they also have a website, and the website is really, really nice. It's got everything kind of, organized there, and you can go and you can read bios of presenters, and you can read about the nominees. And so there's a lot of information there. But no, I'm absolutely looking forward to hearing what the Duchess of Cambridge has to say.
And I'm hearing rumblings that she's going to play a pretty major part in the award ceremony. So, I don't have cable, and this is the bane of my existence, but I'm going to have to find a way to get. Oh, I forgot. We mentioned this a couple episodes ago. I think it's going to be on Facebook. I think it'll be broadcast on Discovery. there's a way, listeners, listen to our past episodes. There's a way for you to catch this. I remember this. I just need to do my due diligence and figure it out. But it is on Sunday, October 17th. So get excited for that. I again, I love seeing all of the members of the family living out their passion projects, and this is Williams. So, okay, hard pivot to Monaco. Good news. We haven't really had really good news coming out of Monaco in a while, but it looks like Princess Charlene of Monaco's return home might be sooner than we think. The royal went in last Friday for what is being dubbed her final procedure, and she is expected to return to Monaco imminently. I'm really happy to see her finally headed home, and I'm sure you are too. We've been talking about this for months. So
Yes, I actually was reading an article about this last week, and I had intended to mention it to you, but I know Prince Albert was actually interviewed, or he kind of spoke on it to the press, and he basically said that they never intended for her to be over there that long, that there were some complications after her surgery, and it kind of led to this extended stay to get that worked out, and that, he and the kids went to visit in June and again in August. So I'm really glad he kind of stepped up to hopefully try to put some rumors to rest. He also addressed the rumors directly, and just said basically that their relationship is a target because of who they are and of their platform. And we see that a lot with royals. So yeah, I'm excited for her. I hope she's doing well and she continues to have a speedy recovery and be reunited with her family. So really happy for the good news.
yeah, me too. Me too. She's been gone since May. It's October. It's like,
Yeah, incredibly long time, especially when you have kids that are, I think they're like 6. I mean, they're pretty
yeah, they're
young.
6. They're 6-year-old twins. So, how gorgeous did the Queen look in her pop of orange this week? She was out with son Edward to launch the Queen's baton relay outside of Buckingham Palace. The baton, I think this is so cool, will travel over 294 days and 90,000 miles to all 72 nations and territories of the Commonwealth. Did you know that the baton also has a secret message from the Queen? It will be read at the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games in July. I wonder what it says. Any guesses?
I don't know. I think that's really cool. We'll have to wait and see. But she did look great in the orange. She was all smiles, and she really seemed to be enjoying herself. And I'm just, continually impressed by how she works, at the level that she works at, and she shows up looking incredible, and she looks great in any color. I don't know if you saw, she was wearing a beautiful deep blue color
I did
today.
see that.
And Princess Anne was with her, and they had, of course, I would notice this. They had matching shoes.
Did they really? I didn't notice that. Well,
Like a mother-daughter moment.
people are making a big fuss about the Queen had a cane today, Tuesday the
I did
12th.
see that.
And
Mhm.
I think she hasn't used a cane, I think, in 17 years since she had knee surgery. She's fine. I think she was just being extra cautious because I read this that Westminster has cobblestones. And so she was just being extra cautious. So I don't think there's anything to worry about, but she did look beautiful today.
Look, we have all misstepped on a cobblestone street before, and I mean,
I don't
if
even
she
need a
can be
cobblestone.
careful, yeah, if she can be careful and prevent a trip,
Do you remember back in January when I was walking down my driveway and I fell and I sprained my ankle, and I was training for a 5K at the time, and I like literally that was the moment that I basically stopped exercising because I was walking down the driveway. I was 34 years
Mhm.
old at the time, and totally fell off the side of the driveway, landed in the grass, and couldn't move for 10 days. So look, good on her for
Well,
taking caution.
we won't talk about the few times I have misstepped and fallen down the stairs in the last
Yeah,
couple.
I mean, look, I it happens to the best of us. So Her Majesty also met this week at Windsor with the Royal Regiment of Canadian Artillery, presenting the Captain General's sword to those selected to exemplary leadership in the rank of captain from each of the Royal Regiment's regular and reserve force components. Please say that 5 times fast. The Royal
Mhm.
Regiment's regular and reserve force components. I always love to see the queen, doing that side of her work. I just think it's really really cool. So the Diana 6-part docuseries on CNN premiered this past Sunday, October 12th. And I don't have cable and I missed it, but don't worry, I'm going to catch up this upcoming Sunday. I'm going to have a big Sunday with the Earthshot prize and 2 episodes of the Diana docuseries. I've heard there's lots of royal experts on there, like Elizabeth Holmes. I think Rachel from the Royally Obsessed podcast is on there. Probably tons more, but I'm really excited to watch that. And I thought, most of the time I can get the whatever I want to watch the next day on Amazon, but that didn't happen. So that's why I'm behind. So do you have any interest in watching that as well?
Yeah, definitely. I'm in the same boat as you. I don't have cable, but I will try to find a way to watch that.
It'll eventually end up on HBO Max. All CNN docuseries eventually end up there, but I don't want to wait that long. So I'm gonna go over probably to my mom's and park myself in front of her television, and big asks to ask her to watch a Diana docuseries. She loves Diana as much or more than I do. So
well, we have had no shortage of Diana content this year for sure.
Well, that's what Mom said. She said, "What are you going to learn at this point, Rachel?"
What have you like, not already seen?
The story doesn't change. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't care. It's still Diana. Like, I could watch, someone like, I don't know, read like just the most boring documentary ever. Not saying that's what this is, but I could watch anything about Diana. So I'll get caught up and have more of a read by our next episode. By the way, happy birthday on October 15th to Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York. She'll be 62. Has she, we haven't talked about her her reading room lately and her what the royal moments lately. Has she been doing anything of interest lately?
I know we need to get caught up on some of her latest posts. But I was thinking about her recently, and I can't think of anything that anything new or different that would really catch my eye to report on. But I'll go back in and see if I can get some updates for listeners. I know she's got her book out now, so we'll have to look for something. But hopefully we'll have some little updates on that. But I am wishing her a happy birthday, and I kind of feel like this year she'll be celebrating with August and Sienna. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. I was going to say she hasn't had time to do reading room lately because she's been too busy probably reading to August and Sienna, and especially lately with the new baby. So speaking of the York girls, it's also worth noting that the day we're recording, October 12th, is Eugenie and Jack's 3rd wedding anniversary. So happy anniversary to the Brooksbanks. Can't believe that was 3 years ago.
I know.
Time flies. I also wanted to shout out one of my favorite royal correspondents, Michelle Ruiz at Vogue, who I think I've mentioned on the show before. She is one of my favorites and wrote a piece I highly recommend all royal followers read on Vogue this week called "How Are You? When You're a Royal, the Answer Speaks Volumes." It addresses the news that came out this week about actor Rami Malek asking Kate how she was at the BAFTAs in 2019. She had just had Louis not long before. It is a great read, very thought-provoking and compelling. I aspire to be as solid of a reporter as Michelle is one day. So check it out. And now for the main event. On the show today, we are honored to have a truly legendary royal photographer, Chris Jackson, whose book, Elizabeth II, A Queen for Our Time, was released yesterday. Actually, it's really today, October 12th, but you know how we are with the day before recording. Take a listen to our conversation. What an honor and a delight it is to have on today's program Chris Jackson, the royal photographer for Getty Images, whose newest book, Elizabeth II, A Queen for Our Time, hit shelves this week. For the past 2 decades, he has been granted privileged access to both Her Majesty and the British royal family, traveling to more than 100 countries with the British royal family and frequently having his photos appear on the front pages of newspapers and magazines. His work is nothing short of legendary and iconic, and he has captured many, if not most, of the most impressionable images of the Queen and her family over the past 2 decades. We are so happy to have you here. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Wow, what a kind introduction. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's an honor. It's an honor.
We were so excited to talk to you. So let's go ahead and jump right into these questions. Tell us, how does one become a legendary royal photographer? Did you want to do this work growing up?
Oh my God, legendary. I'm not sure I'd go that far, but thank you.
Those are our words. You're very modest.
Well, yeah, you're right. It is a kind of a weird and wonderful job, and there's no straightforward path into royal photography. I actually studied physiology. I did science at university, and I had a passion for photography, and I actually had a little darkroom downstairs in my student house, and I used to sneak off and go and develop photos whenever I had the opportunity. So it was very much something that I absolutely loved doing, and it was always a passion of mine, but I never thought it could turn into a career. And then when I finished university, I managed to get a job at Getty Images, pretty much the most prestigious photo agency in the world, which is amazing. I was so excited, but it wasn't a job as a photographer. It was actually a job working as an account exec, and I loved it. It was just great to be in the world of photography and working with some incredible photographers. And over the years, over the next year, I managed to kind of get some equipment and shoot for them whenever I could, and eventually they gave me a job, which was amazing. And I suppose the royal side to the job developed organically over my time with Getty Images. I just loved everything about photographing the royal family. I loved the travel. I loved the fact you're photographing these incredible people, the history, having a front row seat to these huge moments that captured the imagination of people around the world. So it was really special, and it seemed to fit everything that I loved about photography. And so, yeah, fast forward almost 20 years, and here we are.
So let's go back in time almost 20 years ago to your first royal assignment. Do you remember I'm sure you do, remember where you were and who you were photographing?
Wow, that's a good question, and I'm not sure how good my memory is, but I did have an assignment editor at Getty Images who was incredibly passionate about the royal families from around not just the UK but also Europe. And I think I remember going to one of the early things I did was head off to Malawi with Princess Metamari, and I had a fantastic trip. I think it probably ignited my early passion for going on royal visits, and I loved doing that. That was probably one of the more early foreign engagements. But I think I must have photographed the Queen at Royal Ascot or something. Of course, Royal Ascot is a regular for the royal family, and especially the Queen. And I think I probably took my first photographs of the Queen at Royal Ascot. So yeah, quite a while ago now.
Wow. You write, I still feel a certain weight of responsibility each time, and undoubtedly a sense of nerves, which are essential to keep that edge, to push the creative boundaries and not retreat into the comfort of routine. So even after all of your years doing this work, what is your reaction when Her Majesty enters the room?
I think, that really rings true, actually, and that's really important. It's a bit of a cliche, but really no 2 days are the same in this job. And of course, we see a lot of the royal family. We see the Queen on a fairly regular basis, but irregular enough to make it each moment we see her very special. There's certainly an element of nerves. I always worry that the light's going to change, the weather could change. Any number of things could not go to plan. And that is actually one of the things I love about this job, is you aren't necessarily in control of what's going on in front of you, and it adds an element of excitement, but also an element of risk, and an element of unpredictability. And I love that. You know, you've got to throw in a bit of luck every day, and if everything goes your way, then you might take a fantastic photo, but you know, quite often it doesn't. And that's what's one of the, you know, the most enjoyable things about that. And every day you are adding to that royal archive. You are adding to a kind of historic, the fabric of British history. And that's one of the things I love about it. You know, it's quite special that people will look at your pictures in kind of 10 years time, maybe even 100 years time. And I suppose that's what's quite amazing about photographing the royal family.
Yeah, isn't it wonderful that, you know, your work will long outlive all of us, and people will be looking at your work for centuries to come as you document this beautiful life.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the one thing that really brings that home is I've been to the Getty Images archive quite a few times. We've got this incredible archive in East London, and I've looked at some of these glass slides from, you know, over 100 years ago, and some of the kind of black and white photos from more recent years, and you look at this and it makes you realize that the pictures you're taking today are contributing to that kind of rich history, and it's really special. And you know, you are essentially photographing a small group of people, which I suppose is different to other types of photography, maybe celebrity photography. And you get to know them, you get to know the nuances, and yeah, it's a kind of a unique niche of photography.
Yeah, that's a perfect lead into my next question. So we're approaching, of course, the Queen's Platinum Jubilee next year, and we've all seen photographs of her so many times. Few of us will ever get the opportunity to meet her, especially not as many times as you have. So what is she like face to face? Is she as lovely as we imagine her to be?
Yeah, I think, and I hope that when you look at the book, you get an impression of what the Queen is like. Of course, like you say, not everyone gets the opportunity to meet the Queen or be near the Queen. And I think hopefully the book puts across a little bit of, you know, what an incredible presence she has, but also the kind of the warmth she exudes when she's around people, around her family. And you know, she has this incredible professionalism and dignity and approach to every engagement that I photographed her on. And you know, it's always exciting to take photos of the Queen. And you know, some of the pictures in the book are really the ones that I suppose resonate the most with me, and people that look at them are the ones where she's kind of interacting with people. Those kind of fleeting moments which I'm really looking for as a royal photographer, and ones that kind of, you know, they bring out an emotion in the viewer, so they make you smile, or you feel, you know, warmth when you look at them.
We were just talking about before we started recording how your photographs are an undeniable part of history. And I'm thinking of some right now as I'm sitting here. You know, we remember the 2019 photo of 4 generations of monarchs making Christmas pudding at Buckingham Palace. Or the gorgeous anniversary shot of the Queen and Prince Philip from last year. And, you know, sadly, that was their last anniversary portrait. So I know there are so many moments to choose from, but can you tell us about your most memorable time photographing the Queen?
That's a difficult one. There's so many to choose from. I suppose one of the things that is so special about photographing the Queen is quite often the moments you capture her are these big historic moments, you know, watched by millions of people around the world. It could be, you know, a wedding, a christening, or anything like that. But it's actually some of the engagements that really stand out in my memory are the more kind of low key ones. I think one of my favorite pictures of the Queen in the book is a shot at the Royal Albert Hall, where she's with Princess Anne and the Countess of Wessex, and a knife gets stuck in the cake and the Queen can't get it out. And it's just, you know, it's one of those moments where things don't quite go to plan, but quite often you get the most lovely photos from those moments, and you have to really be on the ball for those kind of things. And it's just a lovely kind of moment where everyone's sort of burst into laughter, and it's kind of one of those warm photos I was talking about earlier. There's another shot actually which always makes me smile, and it's a bit unexpected, but it's the Queen meeting Donna the Asian elephant at Whipsnade Animal Park. And that was a bit of a weird one, because I remember waking up that morning and I just, I thought, okay, the Queen's going to open the new elephant enclosure at Whipsnade, but I didn't actually expect her to get as close as she did and feed Donna a banana, which is a most unexpected thing. Of course, this is a huge, potentially dangerous animal. So normally I wouldn't expect the Queen to get as close, but I love the shot where the elephant's got her trunk outstretched, keen to snaffle another banana from the Queen. So that was, one of the more unexpected moments, and it contrasts to some of the formality. And yeah, some of the other photos are much more contemplative and serious. And there was another one where the Queen she's visiting an art installation in the moat of the Tower of London that was called, I think it was called Blood, Sweat, Lands and Seas of Red. And it was over 800,000 ceramic poppies, and each one represented one of the fallen in the war. So it was incredibly poignant, and remembering those who have made the ultimate sacrifice is such an important part of the Queen's role. And I took this photograph, I think it was in the morning, and the light was kind of glinting off these incredible earthenware poppies, and it was an amazing sight, and it actually really captured the public's imagination, and a lot of people went to see it. But I took this shot of the Queen and the Duke who came to visit it, and it was quite, I suppose, a poignant moment. So that's one you might remember from the book, and that's another special and really visual moment for me. But yeah, there's been so many over the years. It's quite difficult to choose. But I suppose this is
to choose from.
Yeah, it's difficult to choose your favorite, because I suppose a lot of the time you're also remembering what went alongside that photograph, what you were doing at the time, what the royal tour was like, what the visit was like. And so for every photograph you look at, there's a whole raft of memories that go alongside that photograph. Yeah. So actually, one more which was very special, which was when the Queen knighted Captain Tom, who in the quadrangle of Buckingham Palace. And of course, Captain Tom Moore, or Captain Tom as he became known, he set out to raise just $1,500 ahead of his 100th birthday by walking laps around his garden. But he was this incredible character. He really captured the imagination of the public, and he went on to raise, over $46 million. I think it was about 36 million pounds for the national health. And he was this incredible character, and this engagement was one of the first ones after lockdown. So of course it had been quite quiet for me in terms of photographing royal events, and so it was very special to get the opportunity to capture this moment. And this picture, I think, really captured this moment, captured the public's imagination, because what Captain Tom had done really resonated with the British public. And he was so humble and just had a great sense of humor. I remember him saying, if he knelt down to be knighted, he may never get up again. So he was this lovely guy. And it was such a hot day, and yeah, it was a lovely moment. So that picture really stands out for me in the book, actually. I think it's
I can't look at that photo and not get teary-eyed. But so on the other side, one of my personal favorites from the book is that photo of Prince Philip chuckling as the red carpet was having a little bit of trouble being rolled out right here in the US of A in 2007.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about that. Out loud.
I love you guys over there. I don't think it's a representative of the US are normally the most organized, and these things normally go very smoothly.
Prince Philip's sense of humor is second to none, and they go to so many events, right? And so when something like that, when the red carpet can't get it right, it's probably incredibly entertaining. But so speaking of that photo, what would you say is one of your more memorable photos of photographing another member of the family other than Her Majesty?
Oh wow! In terms of the rest of the family, well, I'm sure in my my previous book, Modern Monarchy, there's quite a few of those. I think it's always so difficult to choose from because, like I say, every moment, every situation has different memories associated with it. So, I've spent a lot of time photographing work. Prince Harry was sent to Bali and Lesotho, and that's been very special. And of course, photographing people like Prince George is always a huge honor. And there's some great, you always come away from moments like that with a smile on your face. And it's royal tours around the world. I just, the buzz of being on a royal tour is always very special. I suppose I did a big project with the Prince of Wales around his 70th birthday behind the scenes, which was, really, I'd actually loved doing that. It was, kind of reportage style of photography and capturing some of the things he's passionate about, the environment, traveling on the royal train, and it kind of culminated in a family picture at Clarence House that you may remember, which was amazing to take. So it's very difficult to choose. There's so many to choose from, but that is what is so wonderful about photographing the royal family, is capturing these different characters and different moments, and things like the Diamond Jubilee. I remember that vividly, and that features in this book as well. But I'm very much looking forward to the Platinum Jubilee, of course, next year. So huge amount to look forward to. You're going to pin me down on the exact pitch now, aren't you? I'm trying to think. My favorite picture of someone other than the Queen.
I know that's so hard to choose.
That is so hard. Well, I've probably got my favorite 20, but I'll come back to you on that, I think.
Okay. You've done more than that's the impossible question, right?
Well, you've been doing this work for a long time. So to say much has changed in the last 2 decades in the British royal family would be a huge understatement. From your perspective as a royal photographer, can you tell us what specifically has changed the most from when you began your work to now?
Wow, that's a good question. I think, and I mentioned this in the book actually, what's been fascinating is the way that technology changes over time. I look back at some of the royal photographers of the past, and things were done in a very different way. And these days, what's incredible is I can take a photograph, and I work with this incredible team of editors at Getty Images, and that my pictures can be, on the desks, the newspapers and magazines within minutes, which is amazing, transmitted around the world. And I suppose that's the same for social media. Everything's changed over the last few years, and everyone has a camera on their phone, and you often see, a whole raft of people taking photographs at royal events. And that's something that we didn't have a few years ago. I often think it's much nicer when people put the cameras down and actually take a moment to chat with the members of the royal family. That's quite nice. So things have changed over the years in terms of taking the photographs. The quality of pictures is amazing now, and that's probably the biggest thing I'd say that's changed over the years. Of course, history changes. We see different dynamics in the royal family and different royal tours. I used to travel with the Queen more, and of course now she's handed over much of her foreign travel to the younger members of the royal family. So I spend my time traveling with the Prince of Wales, Duchess of Cornwall, Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. So yeah, it's an ever evolving story, which is what makes it so fascinating.
Never a day that was like the previous one in your line of work, for sure.
Definitely not, no. Well, I say that, and that's definitely true, but what is really nice is there is a kind of backbone to the royal year. There's events like Trooping the Colour, Royal Ascot, the Fiscal Ceremony, the Garter Ceremony, and these events have been happening for hundreds of years. There's an incredible history and symbolism and meaning behind them, and that is incredible. It adds such a depth to what you do, and then you have to throw into the mix the kind of daily events that are new and haven't been done before. Projects like Prince William's Earthshot Award. This is the new and exciting thing. there's so much new stuff going on and new innovation and exciting things to look forward to. So it's kind of like the backbone of the royal year and the royal diary and all this interesting new stuff, which kind of keeps you on your toes, really, which is exciting.
Yeah. So you mentioned this in the book, but the Duchess of Cambridge has made photography really cool and really trendy for a whole new generation of people. What are some of your best photography tips for a budding photographer who might be keen to take a page from her book and start taking photographs?
Well, Duchess of Cambridge is obviously passionate about, photography, and we see some really lovely pictures that she's taken in the past with members of her family, and she being around her family, as you are, is the best person. It's obviously they feel most relaxed around her, and she takes some really lovely. We see lovely pictures of her family, which we've seen on the sort of front pages of the newspapers over recent years. And I think that is the most important thing. Your subjects have to feel relaxed around you, and that applies to all photography. And you often get the best pictures when you're certainly in my job, a fly on the wall, I suppose, and you're there. And I find what's most successful for me in my job is not to be kind of in someone's face, snapping away the whole time. It's to very much sort of take a step back, wait for the moment, observe, look at the light, try and predict what's going to happen next, and then when the moment's there, take the photo. And I think it hopefully makes your subjects feel a little bit more relaxed, and you can be there to capture that moment when it happens. I think preparation is really important. Obviously make sure your cameras are charged, make sure you have the right equipment, make sure you have your camera. Of course, some of the best pictures we see happen when you're least expecting it. And I think these days we all have a camera in our back pocket with our smartphones. So, we all have a camera to take photos, but it is important to be thinking about the light, thinking about composition, thinking about your subject, and you can apply all these different rules and hopefully take some better pictures. But it's a mindset, I suppose, and light and composition, and having the right equipment are the three most important things, I'd say.
Well, it is truly an art. We've got one more question for you before we finish up today. So, being a royal photographer, it means you spend Christmas taking photos at Sandringham, and you get to travel frequently. What you do is so much more than simply a job or a career. I mean, it's truly a lifestyle. And you're always the one looking through the lens, photographing others smiling. But you've been quoted saying that there have been many heartwarming moments that left you smiling behind the camera. So when you think of your life in this role and future generations who will experience your work, what would you like your legacy to be?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. I think that is very true. It's certainly a lifestyle, and you have to be passionate about it and very committed to it. Quite often you do find yourself missing family events and important dates in the diary because you have to be. If you're not there, you can't take the photograph, and and if you don't take the photograph, there's going to be a hole in your kind of archive in your library where you should have been, and that can be difficult at times, but it can also be incredible because it is a huge privilege to be there for some of these moments, and some of them do really leave you smiling behind the camera, and that is amazing. That's one of the most special things about photographing the royal family. A lot of these moments are really kind of heartwarming, positive moments, and to have this front row seat to these big moments is absolutely incredible. And I suppose one of the special things about the royal family is there is interest around the world, and that's kind of unique, huge amount of interest. And to have the privilege of on some of these engagements, essentially being the eyes to the world is a huge privilege and honor, and a responsibility to get it right. So that's very special. I think in terms of legacy, I think my sort of what I aim to do is to create the most comprehensive and hopefully genuine and honest archive of the British royal family. You know, from those formal portraits, from their day-to-day engagements to you know, family moments, as much as I can. And previous royal photographers I very much look up to. I mentioned in the book these incredible photographers I look to for inspiration, and I hope in some small part I'm sort of continuing a small amount of their work. But it's, you know, I think back in the day they either shot the portraits or we did the day-to-day stuff, and I think to kind of be lucky enough to do a bit of both and all of that, that's really special and something I just hope to continue for as long as I can.
What an honor and a privilege it is to speak with you today. Chris Jackson's newest book, Elizabeth II, A Queen for Our Time, is out now and is the perfect addition to your coffee table. This book will go right next to my copy of, you mentioned this earlier, Chris, your other book, Modern Monarchy, on my coffee table. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
No, thank you both of you. And honestly, that it's such a privilege to be on here, and I'm grateful to your listeners. So thank you very much, and thank you.
We love your work and we love you too.
That's very kind.
What an A+ guest. How great is he?
I know. Oh my gosh, it was such an honor to speak with him. And I feel like I learned so much hearing what he had to say about his experience over these last 2 decades. It was really, really incredible to have a nice conversation with him.
And in addition to being an A+ photographer, he was just a really nice guy, like just a really good person. So thank you, Chris, for making our Tuesday and probably my whole week. So we've got another A-list guest coming up for you next week. You'll have to stay tuned to find out who that is. Anything else, my friend, for the good of the order?
I don't think so. This has been a really jam-packed episode. There's lots of good stuff coming our way. So I'm excited for some other episodes we've got coming up in the coming weeks, and hoping our listeners have a really great week.
Yeah, we've got some, I mean, I said this last episode, but we have, in addition to Chris, we have, I think, 5 more guests that are you're just going to love. So stay tuned. And follow us on Instagram at Podcast Royal. Email us at hellopodcastroyal@gmail.com. Follow us, rate us, review us. Support this lovely community we're building. Thank you so much for being here. Episode 41 is in the books. We'll chat with you next week. Bye.
Bye.